come closer. Pull your chair. Let me tell you a story that will make your ears ring and your mouth hang open like a fish gasping for air. You see, in this life, there are friends and there are enemies who drink tea with you from the same cup. But what happened in Lekki on that rainy Tuesday night? Even the devil himself must have taken notes. It was raining, that kind of angry Lagos rain that beats the roofs as if it is fighting with the zinc. Inside the VVIP private ward of St. Ives Specialist Hospital, however, the air was cold, smelling of antiseptic and expensive air freshener. But the peace of the hospital was shattered. My back is breaking. Chief, do something. Call the doctors. Am I going to die? The woman screaming was Jessica. She was lying on the pristine white bed, her legs spread, clutching the sheets with manicured nails that cost 50,000 naira. Her belly, that belly was massive. It rose like a mountain under the hospital gown, a testament to 9 months of carrying the heir to the Williams Empire. Hey, sorry to interrupt your listening for just a moment. If this story is speaking to you so far, I'd be really grateful if you'd subscribe and support the channel. It helps me keep creating more stories like this for you. Thank you. Chief Williams, a man whose stomach commanded as much respect as his bank account, was pacing the room in a cold sweat. He was wearing a white senator suit that was now rumpled. He rushed to her side, holding her hand. "Sorry, my angel. Sorry, my heartbeat. The doctor is coming. Remember the Range Rover? It is parked outside. The key is in my pocket. Just push for me, oh. Push for daddy." Jessica screamed again, a sound that could tear the ceiling. "I can't push. It hurts. The baby is coming." Just then, the door flew open. It was not a nurse. It was Dr. Emmanuel, the chief medical director himself. He was a tall man with glasses that sat on a nose that had smelt too many lies in this Lagos. He did not rush. He walked with a strange, terrifying calmness. He didn't look at the monitors. He didn't look at the chief. He looked directly at Jessica. Behind him, a small older nurse named Mercy stood by the door, her hands clasped, her face unreadable. Dr. Emmanuel walked to the foot of the bed. Jessica was panting, putting on a performance worthy of an Oscar. "Doctor, the head! I can feel the head!" The chief looked at the doctor, panic in his eyes. "Doctor, why are you standing there? Do something! My wife is in labor!" Dr. Emmanuel sighed. He reached into the pocket of his lab coat. He did not bring out a stethoscope. He did not bring out forceps. He did not bring out a scalpel. He brought out a pair of large, silver tailoring scissors. The room went silent. The only sound was the hum of the air conditioner and the thunder mumbling outside over the Atlantic Ocean. The chief frowned. "Doctor, what is that for? Is it a C-section?" Dr. Emmanuel looked at the screaming woman, whose eyes were now darting left and right in sudden fear. Then he looked at the confused husband. He opened the scissors. Snip, snap. The metal sound was sharp in the silence. "Madam," the doctor said, his voice flat, devoid of any sympathy. "Stop screaming." Jessica froze. "What?" "I said stop screaming," Dr. Emmanuel repeated, lowering the scissors toward her massive heaving belly. "Foam does not feel pain." "Eh? I know you are confused. You are asking foam? Which one is foam?" Be patient. To understand how a woman ends up in a labor room about to be cut open with tailoring scissors, we have to go back. We have to go back to when the friendship was sweet, before it turned into poison. You see, Sarah and Jessica were best friends from their university days at Unilag. They were like 5 and 6, bread and butter, snail and shell. Where you saw one, you saw the other. But as the elders say, 20 children cannot play together for 20 years. Sarah was the kind of woman who would give you the last meat in her pot. She was gentle, the type who spoke as if she was afraid to wake a sleeping baby. She married her husband, Bode, a civil engineer, and for 8 years they waited. They prayed, they fasted, they drank herbal concoctions that tasted like battery acid. But the cry of a baby never filled their home. Sarah's womb remained silent. Instead of letting bitterness eat her, Sarah poured her love into food. Her business, Sarah's Pot, was famous. Her jollof rice had a smoky flavor that could make a grown man confess his sins. And every Saturday, without fail, she would drive her battered Toyota Corolla to the orphanage in Ilupeju to cook for children who had no parents. She would serve them, wipe their mouths, and smile that sad, beautiful smile, the smile of a mother with no child. Then there was Jessica. Jessica. If Sarah was cool water, Jessica was pepper soup. Hot, spicy, and if you are not careful, it will choke you. Jessica was beautiful, yes. Fair-skinned, loud, always wearing the latest lace, always smelling of heavy perfumes that announced her arrival 5 minutes before she stepped into the room. She married Chief Williams, an oil magnate old enough to be her father's classmate. She didn't marry for love. She married for the convoy, the trips to Dubai, and the house in Banana Island. For years, Jessica pretended to be Sarah's friend, but inside, jealousy and wickedness were brewing like fermented palm wine. Why? Because even though Sarah had no child, Sarah had peace. Sarah had a husband who loved her even in her barrenness. Jessica had money, but she knew Chief only kept her because she promised him an heir. And Jessica knew something else, something dark. She knew she had ruined her own womb years ago on a surgeon's table in Turkey, trying to get the perfect hourglass figure. But she never told Chief. So when Jessica announced she was pregnant, Sarah was happy, truly happy. She bought gifts, she prayed. But Jessica decided that her pregnancy was not just a blessing, it was a weapon, a whip to flog Sarah's back. And so the suffering began. It started on a Tuesday morning. The sun was just struggling to rise over the Lagos mainland, casting a dusty orange light through Sarah's bedroom curtains. Sarah was already awake. She was always awake early. Sleep is difficult when your pillow is soaked with tears from midnight prayers. She was in the kitchen, boiling yam for Bode, when her phone pinged. It was a notification from the University Girls 09 WhatsApp group. Sarah wiped her hands on her apron and picked up the phone expecting maybe a devotional or a funny meme. It was a voice note from Jessica. Sarah pressed play. Jessica's voice filled the quiet kitchen. It was loud, nasal, and dripping with that particular arrogance of a woman who believes the world rotates around her hips. Chidima babe, are you there? I don't know why Sarah is insisting on coming to plan my baby shower. Does she want to infect my unborn prince with her bad luck? You know bad luck is contagious. That girl is just a man in a dress. 8 years and not even a miscarriage. At least, miscarriage shows the machine is working. Hers is just dry wood. I swear, if she touches my belly, I will sanitize it with anointing oil. The voice note ended. Sarah stood there. The phone felt like a hot coal in her hand. She replayed it. Maybe she heard wrong. Maybe it was a joke. That girl is just a man in a dress. Dry wood. The silence in the kitchen was deafening. The water on the stove bubbled over, hissing as it hit the burner. But Sarah didn't move. The smell of burning yam skin began to fill the air. Dry wood, she whispered to herself. Her best friend, the woman she had defended when people called her a gold digger, the woman she had cooked for, prayed for. A sharp pain, cold than ice, pierced Sarah's chest. She didn't scream. Sarah wasn't a screamer. Instead, she slowly sank to the tiled floor, her back against the refrigerator. She pulled her knees to her chest. God, she breathed, her voice cracking. Is this me? Am I dry wood? She heard Bode's footsteps upstairs. He was waking up. Panic seized her. She couldn't let him see her like this. He would get angry. He would confront Jessica. And Chief Williams was Bode's biggest client. She couldn't ruin his business. Sarah scrambled up, wiping her face frantically with the hem of her apron. She turned off the gas. She forced her shaking hands to slice the yam. Chop!
Chop, chop. Each slice of the knife against the chopping board felt like it was cutting through her own heart. She served her husband breakfast with red eyes, blaming the onions. She watched him eat while the voice note played on a loop in her head. Dry wood, dry wood. But do you know what Sarah did? That afternoon, she still packed 3 coolers of fried rice and drove to the orphanage. She fed 50 children. She laughed with them. She danced with them. But when she drove home that night, she parked by the side of the third mainland bridge, looking at the dark water, and wept until her throat was sore. She thought that was the worst of it. She thought Jessica had made a mistake. But what she didn't know was that this was only the introduction. The main movie was about to start. 3 months later, it was December, the season of heavy traffic and end-of-year parties. Sarah's company, Sarah's Pot, had landed a prestigious gig catering for Zenith Bank's regional end-of-year party. It was a big deal. The hall in Victoria Island was decorated in silver and red. The air conditioner was blasting. The smell of rich perfumes mixed with the aroma of Sarah's signature jollof rice. Sarah was in her element. She wore her uniform, a crisp white apron over a black shirt, and moved efficiently behind the buffet line, directing her 7 boys. Then the doors opened, and she walked in. Jessica. She was 8 months pregnant now. She waddled into the hall like a queen duck, her hands supporting her lower back. She was wearing a gold sequin dress that hugged a massive bump. Chief Williams walked beside her, looking proud. Chidima, the enabler, trailed behind them, carrying Jessica's handbag like a glorified house girl. Sarah's heart skipped a beat. She hadn't seen Jessica since the voice note incident. She had distanced herself, claiming work was busy. Jessica spotted her. A wicked grin spread across her face. She steered the chief directly towards the buffet line where Sarah was serving. "Ah, see my bestie," Jessica announced loudly. The chatter at the nearby tables died down. "Sarah, so you are the one cooking today? I hope you washed your hands well, oh." Sarah forced a professional smile. "Good evening, Jessica. Good evening, Chief. Yes, we are catering today. Would you like some small chops to start?" Sarah picked up a silver platter of golden brown samosas and puff-puff. She extended it politely towards Jessica. Jessica looked at the tray. Then she looked at Sarah. Then she covered her nose with a dramatic gasp, waving her hand in front of her face. "Ew, no thank you, babe," Jessica said, her voice carrying across the silent hall. The bank manager was standing right there. "My pastor told me to be careful. They say spiritual barrenness affects the taste of the jollof. I don't want my baby to eat sorrow." The silence that followed was heavy. A waiter dropped a fork. The clatter sounded like a gunshot. Chief Williams looked uncomfortable. "Haba, Jessica, Sarah is your friend. The food smells good." She slapped his hand away playfully. "Honey, you don't understand spiritual things. You eat it if you want. Me, I cannot risk my prince consuming the energy of a dead womb."
She turned to Chidima and laughed. "Let's go find Pizza Jerry. This place smells of desperation." Sarah stood there, holding the tray. Her arms were trembling. The bank manager cleared his throat and looked away, embarrassed for her. The guests whispered behind their hands. "Is that not her friend? Ah, that is wicked though." But the pregnant woman has a point. Spiritual things are serious. Sarah felt the heat rise up her neck. Her face burnt. She wanted to throw the tray. She wanted to scream. But she looked at her serving staff, young boys who depended on her for their salary. If she caused a sin, she would lose the contract. She would lose her reputation. So she lowered her head. She placed the tray back on the table with shaking hands. I will go and check the stock in the kitchen," she whispered to her assistant. She walked out of the hall, her shoes clicking on the marble floor.
Every step felt like walking on broken glass. She pushed through the kitchen doors, past the steaming pots and the busy cooks, and went out the back exit near the generator. The roar of the generator drowned out her sobs. She leaned against the rough concrete wall, sliding down until she hit the dirt. She looked at her hands that worked hard, hands that gave, hands that cooked love. Why, she asked the night sky. What did I do to her? I only loved her. She wiped her face, fixed her makeup, and went back inside to serve the guests. She served with a smile, but her eyes were dead. She thought she had reached the limit of humiliation. She was wrong. If the catering job was a slap, the first Sunday of the month was a stab wound. It was Thanksgiving Sunday. The church was packed. Women in towering geles that blocked the view of the altar. Men in flowing agbada. The choir was shaking the foundation of the building with praise. Sarah sat in the front row. She was a worker in the church, head of the welfare department. She sat quietly, clapping her hands, trying to focus on God and not on the empty space beside her where a child should be sitting. Then, the pastor announced, "It is time for testimonies. Who has the Lord blessed?" Jessica was the first to jump up. She didn't just walk to the altar, she danced. She rubbed her belly vigorously, gyrating to the drums. The congregation cheered. Everyone loves a pregnant woman.
Jessica grabbed the microphone. She was breathless, glowing in a rich purple lace. "Praise the Lord," she shrieked. "Hallelujah," the crowd roared. "I said, praise the living Jesus. Hallelujah." Jessica's face suddenly turned serious. She looked out at the crowd, scanning the faces until her eyes locked on Sarah in the front row. "Brethren," Jessica started, her voice dropping to a theatrical whisper, "I just want to thank God that I am not like the chaff that the wind blows away. You know, the Bible says none shall be barren in my land, but we see them every day." The church went quiet. Sarah froze. Her heart began to hammer against her ribs like a trapped bird. Jessica continued, pacing the altar. "There are people sitting here right now. We went to the same school. We married the same year, 2015. But look at the difference." She rubbed her belly again. "Some people are still believing God for just one seed. But God has shamed them to bless me. He has looked at their secret sins and closed their wombs while He opened mine to overflow." "Preach it," Chidinma shouted from the back. "I am a testimony that God chooses His favorites. He does not give children to witches who eat their own eggs in the spiritual realm. He gives to the righteous." The cameraman, looking for a reaction shot for the live stream, zoomed in on the front row. Sarah's face appeared on the giant screens on either side of the altar. Her eyes were filled with tears she was fighting to hold back. Her lip was quivering. The whole church saw her naked pain. Murmurs rippled through the pews. "Is she talking about Sister Sarah? Ah, Sarah has been married long ago. It must be true. Maybe she's a witch." Jessica wasn't done. "So I want to dedicate this baby to the God who separates the wheat from the chaff. If you are here and you are jealous of me, go and hug Transformer. God has elevated me." She dropped the mic and danced back to her seat. Sarah couldn't breathe. The air in the church felt thick, suffocating. The eyes of the choir members, the ushers, the pastors, everyone was looking at her. Some with pity, most with judgment. She felt naked. She felt dirty. She stood up. She couldn't wait for the service to end. She grabbed her bag and walked down the long aisle. It felt like walking a mile. She could feel their eyes burning holes in her back. She burst out of the church doors into the blinding sunlight. She didn't wait for her husband. She flagged down a keke napep, uncaring of her expensive clothes. "Just drive," she told the driver. "Madam, where?" "Anywhere, just drive." 2 weeks later, the final blow. Sarah didn't want to go. God knows she didn't want to go. But Chief Williams had called Bode personally. "My wife really wants her best friend there. She says she wants to make amends. Please, let Sarah come. It will make Jessica happy. Sarah went because she was a good wife. She went because she was a fool for peace. The baby shower was at a swanky event center in Ikeja GRA. The theme was royal arrival. Everything was gold and blue. There were over 100 guests, Lagos socialites, bankers, influencers. Jessica sat on a gold throne surrounded by gifts. When Sarah walked in, Jessica smiled. It was a shark's smile. "Sarah, you came," Jessica called out. "Come to the front. You are the guest of honor." Sarah hesitated, but the crowd pushed her forward. "We are playing a game," Jessica announced into the microphone. She held up an iPhone 15 Pro Max, already recording a live video for Instagram. It is called Practice Makes Perfect. Since Sarah here has no experience, we want to teach her. Who knows, maybe if she learns, God will finally pick up her call. The crowd laughed nervously. Some of them knew it was mean, but nobody stopped it. They were drinking expensive champagne. They didn't want to spoil the mood. Jessica handed Sarah a plastic baby doll and a diaper. "Oya, Sarah," Jessica commanded, the camera lens inches from Sarah's face. "Show us how you would diaper a baby, if God ever remembered you. Don't shake, oh. Why are your hands shaking? Is it because you know you will never do this in real life?" Sarah stood in the center of the hall. The music had stopped. The doll felt light and mocking in her hands. Do it, Chidinoma chanted. Sarah looked at the doll. It had blue eyes that stared back at her lifelessly. She tried to open the diaper, but her fingers were numb. She fumbled. The diaper fell to the floor. "Ah," Jessica mocked. "Failure. Even plastic baby you cannot handle. No wonder God didn't give you a real one. He knows you will drop it." The room erupted in laughter. It wasn't just giggles. It was a roar. They were laughing at her pain. They were laughing at her empty nursery. They were laughing at her bleeding heart. Jessica posted the video immediately. The caption, #faith over failure. Some people are just not meant to be mothers. Be grateful for your blessings. Something inside Sarah snapped. Not a loud snap, but the quiet sound of his soul breaking. She dropped the doll. She didn't say a word. She turned around and walked out. She didn't go home. She couldn't face Bode. She couldn't face the empty room painted yellow for a baby that never came. She drove until her gas tank was empty. She found herself near the Lagos Lagoon, under the third mainland bridge where the streetlights didn't reach. It was a place for the destitute, for the forgotten. She sat on the hood of her car, watching the black water swell. She was hungry. She hadn't eaten all day. She was exhausted. Her head was pounding. A beggar woman walked by, carrying a sleeping baby on her back and holding another child by the hand. The woman looked tired. Her clothes were rags, but her children were sleeping peacefully against her warmth. Sarah reached into her bag. She took out all the cash she had, about 20,000 naira. She handed it to the beggar. "Take," Sarah whispered. "Buy food." The beggar woman looked at the money, then at Sarah's tear-stained face. "Madam, thank you. God will bless you. God will answer you." Sarah laughed, a dry, bitter sound. "God? God has left the building, Mama. God is busy blessing the wicked." She looked up at the sky. It was dark, no stars, just the orange glow of the city pollution. She slid off the car and knelt on the rough gravel. Disregarding her knees, she bowed her head until it touched the dirt. "God," she choked out. It wasn't a prayer of faith. It was a prayer of desperation. "I don't want money. I don't want revenge. I don't even want her to suffer. But God, do you see me? Do you see this hole in my chest? If you are real, if you are the God of Sarah in the Bible, then answer me. Why did you give me a heart to love children and a womb that kills them? Why does the wicked woman prosper while I eat ash?" She cried until there were no tears left, only dry heaves that shook her small frame. "I just want peace. I just want to be a mother. Please, hear me."
The wind blew cold from the lagoon, chilling her to the bone. Sarah stared there, broken, humiliated, a woman who had lost her dignity for the world to see. But as she lay there in the dust, crying to a silent sky, she had no idea. She had no idea that in the hospital file room, a quiet nurse named Mercy was looking at a chart that didn't make sense. She had no idea that the God she thought was sleeping had already dispatched an angel in a nurse's uniform. She had no idea that the woman who mocked her was walking on a foundation of foam, and the scissors were already being sharpened. Help was not just on the way. Help was already in the room. The angel in the night. Wipe your eyes. Are you still crying for Sarah? Stop it. I told you this story has K-leg. I told you that the God of the poor does not sleep on duty. You remember Sarah was on her knees in the dust, under the bridge, with the smell of the lagoon filling her nose and the darkness covering her like a shroud. She had just finished praying that dangerous prayer, the prayer of a woman with nothing left to lose. As if heaven was on speed dial. The very moment her amen landed, headlights cut through the darkness. A car slowed down. It wasn't a police van, God forbid. It wasn't kidnappers. It was a simple, grey Honda Accord. The engine hummed quietly, unlike the roar of the chief's convoy that usually terrified the neighborhood. A woman stepped out. She didn't look like an angel. She didn't have wings. She was wearing a simple Ankara wrapper and a nurse's scrub top. She was older, maybe in her late 50s, with a face that looked like it had seen every kind of trouble Lagos has to offer and survived them all. Sarah scrambled back, grabbing her handbag, her heart pounding. I don't have money. I have nothing. The woman didn't shout. She didn't run. She walked with the calmness of someone who owns the ground she steps on. She stopped 5 feet away. Get up from the floor, Sarah, the woman said. Her voice was low, textured like grinding pepper. The ground is for dead people. You are still alive. Sarah froze. How do you know my name? The woman checked her wristwatch. A simple Casio. I have been looking for you since the baby shower video went viral 2 hours ago. I knew you will come to the water. Broken people always come to the water. She reached into the backseat of her car and brought out a cooler. The smell hit Sarah before she could protest. Hot, spicy moi moi, the scent of comfort. My name is Mercy, the woman said, and you need to eat because fighting requires strength and you look like a dried fish. Sarah wanted to run, but hunger is a powerful master. She took the cooler with shaking hands. She ate like a refugee, weeping between swallows. Mercy stood there, watching her, acting as a human shield against the dark. When Sarah wiped her mouth, feeling the first bit of warmth she had felt in weeks, she looked at this stranger. Why? Sarah asked, her voice raspy. Why are you helping me? I am nobody. Mercy smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was a dangerous smile. A smile that said she knew where the bodies were buried. You think you are nobody, Mercy said, leaning against her car. But I know exactly what Jessica did to you. I know about the dry wood. I know about the diaper game, and I am going to help you fix it. Sarah's eyes widened. How do you know all that? Mercy adjusted her glasses. Because my daughter, the walls have ears. And in my line of work, the walls also have medical files. Sarah sat in the passenger seat of Mercy's car. The AC was cool. They were parked in a quiet street now, away from the bridge. Who are you? Sarah asked again, the fear creeping back. Are you her spy? Did she send you to mock me some more? To see if I have killed myself? Mercy laughed. If Jessica sent me, I would have brought poison, not moi moi. Listen to me carefully. Mercy turned in her seat, facing Sarah. The street lamp cast shadows across her face, making her look serious like a judge. I know that 3 months ago, Jessica came to the clinic late at night wearing sunglasses and a scarf. I know she paid Dr. Tunde 2 million naira cash in a brown envelope. I know she didn't come for antenatal. She came for arrangement. Sarah frowned, confused. Arrangement? But she's pregnant. We saw the belly. We saw the scan pictures. Mercy shook her head slowly. You saw what she wanted you to see. Sarah, answer me this. Have you ever seen her belly button move? Have you ever seen the baby kick when she didn't grab her stomach first? Sarah thought back. The baby shower, the church, the catering job. Jessica always held her stomach, but Sarah had never actually seen the skin move. She shook her head. I am the head matron at St. Ives Specialist Hospital, the same hospital where Jessica claims she is registered. Sarah gasped. So, is the baby sick? There is no baby. Mercy dropped the bomb. The silence in the car was louder than a generator. Sarah's mouth opened, but no sound came out. No baby? She whispered. Foam. Mercy spit the word out with disgust. High-grade silicone prosthetic. Imported from China. The type they use in movies. She wears it like a girdle. She takes it off to sleep. But the ultrasound, Photoshop and bribery. Dr. Tunde is a thief in a lab coat. He prints fake scans for Madam Slay Queens who want to trap rich husbands. Sarah felt the room spinning. All the insults, the dry wood, the diaper game, the humiliation at the bank. It was all a lie? All of it? But why are you telling me? Sarah asked, tears welling up again. Why risk your job for me? Mercy's face softened. Her eyes became wet. Do you remember 2019? The orphanage in Ilupeju?
Sarah nodded slowly. I cooked there every Saturday. Yes, Mercy said softly. 2 years ago, my husband died. I lost my job. I had nothing. My 2 boys, we were starving. I sent them to the orphanage for lunch because I had no food at home. You served them. You didn't just give them rice. You gave them 2 pieces of meat each. You packed extra for them to take home to their mother. Mercy gripped the steering wheel. That food saved us, Sarah. That food gave me strength to go out and find this job at St. Ives. You fed my children when you didn't have your own. You saved my family. Mercy reached out and held Sarah's hand. Her grip was iron. I saw you in the church video. I recognized you. Then I checked Jessica's file. When I saw the wickedness, I said no. God cannot be mocked. I cannot watch the woman who fed my children be destroyed by a woman carrying a pillow. Sarah started to cry, but this time it wasn't from pain. It was relief. So, Mercy said, her voice turning hard again, I need you to trust me. Can you do that? Yes, ma, Sarah choked out. Yes, ma. Good, because tonight, Jessica plans to deliver, and we are going to be the midwives. The trap is set. Mercy pulled out a file from under her seat. She opened it. Look, it was a digital trail of destruction. Item 1. WhatsApp screenshot between Jessica and an agent named Mama Rose, Baby Factory. Message. I need a light-skinned male child, newborn, tonight. 3M cash ready. Item 2. A bank transfer receipt of 500,000 naira to Dr. Tunde, labeled consultation. Item 3. A video on Mercy's phone. It was CCTV footage from the hospital waiting room. It showed Jessica adjusting her belly, which had slipped down too low.
looking around nervously to see if anyone saw. "I have everything," Mercy said. "I have the receipts. I have the charts. But the chief, that man, is blinded by love and the desperate need for an heir. If I just show him papers, Jessica will lie. She will say I forged them. She will say I am jealous." "So what do we do?" Sarah asked. She felt a strange strength rising in her chest. The fear was evaporating, replaced by a cold, sharp anger. "We have to catch her in the act," Mercy said. "We have to let her play her game until she has nowhere left to run." Mercy outlined the plan. It was simple but dangerous.
Jessica was planning a dramatic water-breaking scene tonight. She felt the chief was pulling away. He had been asking too many questions about why he couldn't touch her belly without clothes. She needed to trap him permanently with a baby. "The plan is for the baby factory agent to sneak the bought baby through the back door of the clinic while Jessica is screaming in the delivery room," Mercy explained. "Dr. Tunde is supposed to receive the baby, hand it to Jessica, and then call the chief in to see his son." "Jesus," Sarah whispered. "That is wicked." "It is witchcraft," Mercy corrected. "But here is the change. I have already changed the roster. Dr. Tunde is not on duty tonight. I sent him a fake memo that the medical board is investigating him. He is currently on a flight to Abuja, running away." "So who will deliver the baby?" "Dr. Emmanuel," Mercy smiled. "The medical director, the man who fears no one. He doesn't take bribes, and he doesn't know about the fake pregnancy yet. I want him to discover it with his own hands." Mercy looked at Sarah. "And you have a role." "Me? I can't face her. Not yet." "You must," Mercy said firmly. "She wanted an audience, Abi. She likes viral videos. Good. You will be in the hospital. I will hide you in the nurse's station. When the truth comes out, I want her to see your face. I want her to see that the dry wood is standing while the fruitful tree is proving to be plastic." Sarah took a deep breath. She thought of the doll falling from her hands. She thought of the laughter. She thought of the hashtag faith over failure. She looked at Mercy. "I will do it. Good girl." While Sarah was getting cleaned up in Mercy's boys' quarter, putting on a fresh dress and regaining her dignity, Jessica was in her mansion in Lekki preparing for her finest performance. Jessica stood in front of her full-length mirror. She adjusted the silicone belly, tightening the straps. She checked her makeup. She applied distress makeup, pale lips, sweat sprayed on her forehead with a bottle water. She laughed to herself. "Stupid chief, stupid Sarah. Tonight I win everything. The Range Rover, the property papers, the status." She picked up her phone and called Chidema. "Babe, it's happening tonight. Get the camera ready. Come to the hospital in 1 hour. I want the world to see the arrival of the prince. I want to tag Sarah in the post so she can whip blood." Ha, trust me, Chidimanka code on the other end. "I have already written the caption. While others are waiting, we are celebrating." She hung up. She walked downstairs to where Chief Williams was watching the news. She grabbed her belly. She let out a scream that startled the houseboy. "Honey, my water is broke. The baby is coming." She squeezed the hidden water bladder between her legs. Fluid soaked the Persian rug. The chief panicked. Driver, start the car. Madam is in labor." As the convoy sped out of the compound, sirens blaring, Jessica lay in the back seat, groaning in fake pain, secretly texting the baby factory agent. "We are moving. Meet me at the back door. 30 minutes. She had no idea. She didn't know that the back door had been double-locked by Mercy an hour ago. She didn't know that the baby factory agent had seen a police patrol van parked there by Mercy's favor and had turned back in fear. She didn't know that Dr. Tunde was halfway to Abuja. And she certainly didn't know that sitting in the dark corner of the VVIP ward reception, hidden behind a large fern and wearing a nurse's cardigan, was Sarah. Sarah watched the sliding doors open. She watched Jessica being wheeled in on a stretcher, screaming, "The baby is coming! Help me!" Sarah's heart hammered in her chest. She gripped her hands together, but this time, she wasn't praying for a child. She was praying for justice. Mercy walked past Sarah, winking imperceptibly.
She followed the stretcher into the delivery room. The stage was set. The actors were in place. The audience was waiting. But the star of the show, the baby, was never going to arrive. Don't blink. If you blink, you will miss it. We are now in the VVIP ward of St. Ives Specialist Hospital. The air conditioner is humming, but the heat in the room is enough to boil yam. The room was set up like a presidential suite. Cream-colored walls, a flat-screen TV showing CNN, and a leather sofa where Chief Williams was sitting, his head in his hands, shaking his leg like a man waiting for a firing squad. And on the bed, Jessica. Jessica. She was putting on the performance of her life. She was rushing on the bed, gripping the sheets. My back is tearing. Chief, where is the doctor? Call Tunde. I only want Dr. Tunde. She was screaming for Dr. Tunde because she knew he was the only one who could smuggle the package in. She didn't know Dr. Tunde was currently turning off his phone as his flight taxied on the runway to Abuja. Nurse Mercy stood in the corner, near the medical supply cart. She was silent. Her face was as smooth as stone. She checked her wristwatch. The time for the delivery had passed. The back door was locked. The agent wasn't coming. The trap was closed. Just then, the double doors swung open. Dr. Emmanuel walked in. He didn't walk in like a friend. He walked in like a general entering a battlefield. He was holding a clipboard and his face was tight. Madam, Dr. Emmanuel said, his voice cutting through Jessica's screams. Dr. Tunde is not available. I am the chief medical director. I will be delivering this baby. Jessica stopped screaming for a second. Her eyes darted around the room. Panic, real panic, not the fake labor kind, started to creep into her face. No, she shrieked. I don't want a man I don't know. My husband pays for the best. Where is Tunde? I am the best, Dr. Emmanuel said coldly. He snapped on a pair of latex gloves. Snap! The sound echoed in the room. Chief Williams stood up, looking haggard. Doctor, please, she is in pain. Just help her deliver my son. I will pay double. Just save them.
Dr. Emmanuel looked at the chief with a strange mixture of pity and anger. Chief, sit down. We need to examine your wife. Don't touch me, Jessica yelled, pulling the sheets up to her chin, covering the massive hump of her belly. I am not dilated yet. I know my body. Just give me painkillers and leave me alone for 10 minutes. She needed 10 minutes to call the agent. She needed 10 minutes to figure out why her plan was crashing. But Dr. Emmanuel was already moving toward the bed. Nurse Mercy stepped forward, her eyes locked on Jessica. Madam, Mercy said, her voice dripping with hidden meaning, the baby is overdue. We cannot wait anymore. In the nurse's station, behind the glass partition with the blinds slightly drawn, Sarah sat on a stool. She was trembling. She could hear Jessica's voice, the same voice that called her dry wood, now screaming in fear. Sarah clutched her hands together. She looked at the small cross on the wall. Let truth speak, she whispered. Let truth speak. Jessica was cornered. She was a rat in a hole and the cats were circling. She looked at the chief. Honey, they are harassing me. Tell them to get out. Tell them I need privacy to push. The chief was confused. Privacy? To push? Jessica, they are doctors. They are evil, she screamed. Sweat, real sweat now, pouring down her face. This nurse, I know her. She's friends with that witch, Sarah. They want to kill my baby. They want to kill your heir because they are jealous. Sarah, listening from the booth, felt a hot tear roll down her cheek. Even in her lies, Jessica couldn't leave her name out of her mouth. Dr. Emmanuel stopped. He looked at Mercy. Mercy nodded imperceptibly. Chief, your wife claims she is in labor. Her water broke at home, correct? Yes, the chief cried. The rug is soaked. Then the baby is in distress.
If the water has broken and there are no contractions, the baby will suffocate. I must operate immediately. Mercy, prep for emergency C-section. Here, now." "No!" Jessica screamed, kicking her legs. "No operation. I will push. I just need time." She was fighting hard now, holding the belly with both hands as if it were a detached object. He stepped closer. "Madam, move your hands." "No!" "Chief, hold her hands," Dr. Emmanuel commanded. "What?" The chief was bewildered. "I said hold her hands. If we don't check for a heartbeat, your child dies now." The threat of death snapped the chief into action. He lunged forward and grabbed Jessica's wrist. "Jessica, stop it. It is for the baby." "Leave me, you fool! Leave me!" She fought him, her nails digging into his arms, but the chief was a strong man. He pinned her hands to the pillow.
"Now, doctor," the chief yelled, tears running down his face. "Save my son." Dr. Emmanuel lifted the hospital gown. The room went quiet. There was the belly, large, round, high. But something was wrong. There were no stretch marks. The skin was too smooth, too perfect. And the color, it was a shade slightly lighter than Jessica's chest. Dr. Emmanuel touched it. He pressed his finger into the flesh. It didn't bounce back like skin. It dented like memory foam. He pressed harder. Jessica didn't flinch from the pressure on her uterus. She flinched from the fear of exposure. Dr. Emmanuel looked at Mercy. Mercy reached into her pocket. She didn't bring out a stethoscope. She brought out the large silver tailoring scissors. She slapped them into Dr. Emmanuel's hand. The chief's eyes bulged. "Doctor, scissors. For what?" Dr. Emmanuel didn't answer. He looked at the screaming woman. "Ah! You are killing me! He's cutting me!" Jessica wailed, trying to bite her husband's hand. Dr. Emmanuel raised the scissors. The blades cut the fluorescent light. "Madam," he said, his voice flat, heavy with the weight of the revelation. "Stop screaming." Jessica gasped, choking on her air. "Foam," Dr. Emmanuel said, lowering the blades to the skin of her stomach. "Does not feel pain." The sound was small, but in that room, it sounded like a bomb. Dr. Emmanuel drove the scissors into the center of the belly. The chief screamed, "Jesus!" and let go of Jessica's hands, jumping back, expecting blood to spray. There was no blood. There was only a soft pop sound as the air rushed out of the vacuum-sealed silicone. Dr. Emmanuel pulled the scissors down. He sliced the belly open from top to bottom. Inside, there was no uterus, there was no placenta, there was no baby. There was dense, yellow upholstery foam. The silence that followed was absolute. It was the silence of a graveyard. It was the silence of a world ending. Jessica lay there, the split silicone belly flopping open like a cheap jacket, revealing her flat, sweat-slicked stomach underneath. She was wearing a pair of Spanx to hold it in place. She stopped screaming. She stared at the ceiling, her chest heaving. The chief stared at the yellow foam. He blinked. He rubbed his eyes and looked again. He looked at the doctor. He looked at his wife. "Where?" The chief's voice was a whisper, a broken thing. "Where is my son?" Dr. Emmanuel peeled the prosthetic off Jessica's body. It came away with the sound of Velcro ripping. He threw the silicone suit on the floor. It landed with a dull thud. "There is no son, Chief," Dr. Emmanuel said, wiping his hands on a towel as if he had touched something filthy. "He never existed." "But the scans," the chief was shaking. He looked like he was having a stroke. "I saw the scans." Nurse Mercy stepped forward. She threw the file on the bed. Photos spilled out. "Fake," Mercy said. Her voice was sharp, condemning. Dr. Tundi manipulated the images. "Here are the transfer receipts. 2 million naira for the scan, 500,000 for silence. And here," she held up a printout of a WhatsApp chat, "is the chat from tonight. She was buying a baby, a male child from a factory in Ikorodu. They were supposed to pass it through the back door while she screamed." The chief picked up the paper. His hands were shaking so hard,
He could barely read. "Agent, police dey outside o. I no fit come. Refund not possible."
Just bring it. If I come home without a child, I am dead. The chief looked up. His eyes were red. The vein in his forehead was throbbing. He looked at Jessica. "You," he choked. "You made me pray. You made me buy a car. You made me mock my family who said you were a gold digger." Jessica sat up. The game was up, but she played her last card, the victim card. "It's not my fault," she wailed, reaching for him. "It's Sarah. Sarah bewitched me. She used juju. She was jealous because she's barren, so she stole my baby in the spiritual realm and replaced it with foam. It is spiritual attack, honey." "Shut up," the chief roared. The sound shook the windows. "Shut up. It is Sarah. I swear she's a witch." "Is she?" Nurse Mercy walked to the door of the nurse's station. She opened it wide. "Come out, Sarah." Sarah stepped into the room. She wasn't wearing rags. She was wearing a simple, clean dress. Her head was high. She didn't look like a witch. She looked like dignity personified. Jessica froze. Her mouth hung open. She looked at Sarah, then at her own exposed belly, then at the chief. The contrast was blinding. Sarah, the barren woman, stood with grace. Jessica, the fruitful woman, sat in a mess of lies and plastic. Sarah walked closer. She stopped at the foot of the bed. She looked at the foam on the floor. Then she looked at her former best friend. "Jessica," Sarah said softly. Her voice wasn't angry. It was just sad. "You called me dry wood. You called me a man in a dress. You made me question my God." Sarah wiped a single tear from her eye. "I didn't steal your baby, Jessica. You cannot steal what was never there. I prayed for you. Every night, even when you mocked me, I prayed for safe delivery for you." She shook her head. "I didn't know I was praying for a pillow." The chief looked at Sarah. He remembered the catering incident. He remembered the insults. Shame washed over him. Hot, burning shame. He turned to Jessica. His face was dangerous. "Get out." Jessica blinked. "Honey, don't call me that." The chief lunged, but Nurse Mercy held him back. "You are a devil, a snake. Get out of my sight before I kill you." "But my clothes," she stammered. "My clothes are at home. I'm wearing a hospital gown." "I don't care." The chief grabbed the silicone belly from the floor and threw it at her. "Take your pregnancy and go. Get out." He dragged her off the bed. Jessica stumbled, barefoot, wearing only the thin hospital gown that was open at the back. "Please, Chief, people will see me." "Let them see." He dragged her out of the ward into the hallway. "Now you have to understand, this is a private hospital." The hallway was full. There were visitors, other patients, nurses. Chidinma was there. She had arrived with her camera, ready to film the miracle. When she saw the chief dragging a screaming Jessica, followed by Dr. Emmanuel and Sarah, she lifted her phone. Instinct. "Chidinma, help me!" Jessica screamed when she saw her friend. Tell him about the baby." Chidinma looked at the flat stomach. She looked at the foam belly Jessica was clutching to her chest like a shield. She looked at the chief's rage. Chidinma did what enablers do. She switched sides. "Ah!" Chidinma shouted, stepping back. "Jessica, is this foam? You mean you lied to us? You lied to me? Ah! Wonder shall never end." She kept recording. She was live on Instagram. The caption changed in real time from hashtag baby arrival to hashtag fake belly scandal, hashtag scam alert.
The chief pushed Jessica through the automatic glass doors into the humid Lagos night. It was still raining lightly. "Don't come to my house," the chief spat. "I will burn your things. If I see you near my gate, I will tell the police you are a kidnapper." He turned his back on her. He saw Sarah standing by the door. The chief, a big man, a proud man, crumbled. He knelt down, right there on the wet concrete. "Sarah," he wept, "I'm sorry. I stood by while she abused you. I laughed when she mocked you. Please, forgive me." Sarah looked at him. She looked at the crowd gathering, phones flashing, capturing Jessica trying to cover herself with the foam belly as security guards ushered her off the premises. Sarah touched the chief's shoulder lightly. "Get up, chief. God has vindicated me. That is all that matters." The video hit the internet before Jessica reached the main road. By morning, it had 1 million views. The slay queen with the foam belly. The memes were merciless. People zoomed in on the pop. They remixed the sound of the scissors. Jessica tried to go to her parents' house, but the shame was too much. Her father locked the gate. She had disgraced the family name. She disappeared from Lagos. No one saw her in the malls or the parties anymore. The university girls' WhatsApp group removed her and made Sarah the admin. 6 weeks later, Sarah was in her kitchen. The smell of frying plantain filled the air. She felt a wave of nausea. She grabbed the sink, retching. Malaria, she thought. It must be malaria. She went to the pharmacy. She bought a test kit, just to rule it out. She had done this 100 times before, always seeing one line. She sat in the bathroom. She waited. 2 lines. She blinked. She wiped her eyes. 2 solid pink lines.
She screamed. Bude ran in, thinking she had fallen. She showed him the stick. They sat on the bathroom floor and cried until they had no water left in their bodies. Chief Williams kept his word. He annulled the marriage to Jessica on grounds of fraud. To make restitution, he awarded Sarah's pot the exclusive catering contract for his oil company's offshore rigs and headquarters. It was a contract worth millions. Sarah moved from her small kitchen to an industrial complex. She hired 50 staff, including women from the orphanage. 9 months later, almost to the day of the foam incident, Sarah went into labor. Dr. Emmanuel was there. Nurse Mercy was there, holding her hand. "Push, my daughter," Mercy whispered. "This is not foam. This is favor." And Sarah pushed. First came a boy. Then came another boy. Then a 3rd boy. Triplets. 3 sons for the woman called Drywood. They say if you go to a certain village in Ogun State, you will find a small kiosk by the roadside selling bread and sachet water. The woman inside wears a scarf low over her face. She doesn't talk much. She doesn't smile. But sometimes, when a Range Rover drives past, splashing mud on her kiosk, she flinches. She touches her flat stomach and looks away. You see, my people, the elders were right. The cane that was used to beat the first wife is waiting in the roof for the second wife. But in this case, the cane was not for the wife, it was for the mocker. Be careful who you call barren. Be careful who you laugh at, because the God who writes the script of life loves plot twists. And foam does not feel pain, but regret, regret hurts forever. My people, have you ever seen a marketplace go silent? That was the hospital hallway after Jessica was thrown out. The rain had stopped, but the air was heavy with the weight of what had just happened. The chief was still on his knees on the wet concrete, his expensive senator suit soaked in puddle water. A man who commanded hundreds of employees was broken by the truth. "Sarah," he wept, covering his face. "I am sorry. I was blind. I let her poison my mind.
I let her treat you like a dog in the street. Sarah didn't gloat. She didn't bring out her phone to record him. She simply reached down and handed him a handkerchief from her bag. "Chief," she said softly, "get up. You were a victim too. She deceived us all." The bystanders, the nurses who had snickered at Sarah before, the patients who had whispered about the barren woman, could not look her in the eye. One by one, they came forward. "Madam Sarah," one nurse stammered, "we are sorry. We didn't know." "It is okay," Sarah nodded, though her heart was tired. Only God knows the heart of a man. Then Chidima, the enabler, tried to slink away, but Sarah's eyes caught her. Chidima froze. She walked over, shaking like a leaf in the harmattan wind. "Sarah, babe," Chidima started, tears streaming down her face, crocodile tears if you ask me. I just went along with it because I was afraid of her. You know how Jessica is. Please forgive me."
"I forgive you, Chidima," Sarah said, her voice steady. "But I cannot forget. You watched me bleed, and you offered me salt instead of a bandage. Go in peace, but please do not come to my house." Then Nurse Mercy stepped forward. She didn't say anything. She just opened her arms. Sarah fell into them, and finally she let go. She cried, not tears of pain, but tears of release. "Thank you, Ma," Sarah whispered into Mercy's shoulder. "You saved my life." Mercy held her tight. "No, my daughter. Your kindness at the orphanage saved you. I was just the vessel." Dr. Emmanuel stood by, cleaning his glasses. "Go home, Sarah," he said kindly. "Go and rest. The battle is over." And so Sarah walked to her car. She didn't look back at the hospital. She drove home, locked her door, knelt by her bed, and slept for 12 hours straight, the first peaceful sleep she had known in years. Fast forward. Let us turn the calendar. If you go to Victoria Island today, you will see a massive building with a sign in gold letters. Sarah's Pot. Industrial Catering Services. The parking lot is full of delivery vans. Inside, the kitchen smells of spices, fried rice, and success. Sarah stands in her office overlooking the kitchen. She is no longer the woman who hid in the bathroom to cry. She looks full. Her skin is glowing, fed by peace of mind and good vitamins. She is wearing a smart tailored dress that fits her new shape perfectly. And what is that noise in the background? Goggle. Cool. Wah. In the corner of her office, in a custom-made nursery, are 3 cribs. Oluwa Tubiluba, Oluwa Sheyi, and Oluwa Mawoyo. 3 bouncing baby boys. The triplets. They are cubby, healthy, and loud. They have Sarah's eyes and Boda's nose. Boda walks in, carrying a diaper bag. He kisses Sarah on the forehead. "Madam CEO, the boys are hungry, oh." Sarah laughs, a rich, deep sound that bubbles up from her belly. She picks up Toby, while Boda takes Say and Mawoyo. 6 months ago, they called me dry wood. Look at the forest now. She has moved her family into a duplex in Lekki Phase 1. It is not about the luxury, it is about the space. A room for the boys, a room for guests, and a kitchen big enough to feed an army. Every weekend, the company van still goes to the orphanage. But now, Sarah doesn't just bring food. She brings scholarships. She hired 5 of the older girls from the orphanage to work in her kitchen, giving them a future. This is what restoration looks like. It is not just about getting what you lost. It is about getting so much more that you have to build new storehouses to keep it. Sarah sits in her chair, nursing her son, watching her husband laugh with the other 2. She takes a deep breath. The air tastes sweet. It tastes like victory. But what about Jessica?
let us travel to a small dusty village in Ogun State. The roads are bad. The network is poor. By the roadside, there is a wooden kiosk. It is leaning to one side, held up by rusted nails and hope. Inside, a woman is selling pure water, gala, and cheap bread. She wears a faded scarf pulled low over her face. Her hands, once manicured with acrylics worth 50K, are now rough and unpolished. It is Jessica. The video of the phone barely ruined her. She became the face of Yahoo girl scams in Nigeria. No man would look at her. Her friends blocked her. Her family, disgraced by the magnitude of her lies, sent her to the village to cool her head.
She sits on a plastic keg, swatting flies. A sleek black SUV drives past, splashing muddy water onto her kiosk. It is a convoy. Maybe it is a chief. Maybe it is a senator. Jessica flinches. She touches her stomach, her flat, empty stomach. She remembers the AC in Lekki. She remembers the drivers. She remembers the soft bed. She looks down at the dust on her slippers. She had it all. She had a husband who wanted to give her the world. She had a friend who prayed for her. But greed, arrogance, wickedness, they are expensive habits. And now she's paying the bill. She sighs, opens a sachet of water, and drinks. It is warm. This is her life now. My people, come close. Let us reason together. This story is not just for entertainment. It is a mirror. Lesson number 1. Be careful who you mock. You see how Jessica called Sarah drywood? She didn't know that Sarah was just in a season of waiting. Never use someone's temporary situation to judge their permanent destination. The person you are laughing at today might be the person you need to sign your paycheck tomorrow. Conditions change. God rotates the earth. Don't be found standing on the wrong side when it turns. Lesson number 2. Silence is a weapon. Did you notice Sarah? When Jessica insulted her at the bank, Sarah didn't fight dirty. She didn't tear Jessica's wig. She walked away. Silence is not weakness. It is strategy. While Jessica was making noise and exposing her own foolishness, Sarah was conserving her energy. Sometimes, you just need to set the table and let your enemies serve themselves their own disgrace. Lesson number 3. Authenticity always wins over image. Jessica spent millions looking rich. She bought clothes. She bought fake bellies. She bought status. Sarah spent her time being good. She fed orphans. She loved her husband. In the end, the form popped, but the substance remained. You cannot Photoshop character. You cannot use a filter on your soul. Be real. It lasts longer. Lesson number 4. Restoration is real. If you are reading this and you feel like you have lost everything, maybe they fired you, maybe they lied about you, maybe you are waiting for a child like Sarah, please don't give up. The story is not over until God says it is over. Sarah's joy didn't come when she wanted it, but it came when she needed it most. And when it came pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever dealt with a Jessica? A friend who smiled in your face but mocked you behind your back? Or have you ever been in a situation where you were falsely accused and God vindicated you? Tell me your story in the comments. Let us encourage each other. And listen, if this story touched your spirit, if it gave you hope, please share it. Send it to your sister, your mother, your best friend. You don't know who is crying in their bathroom right now, needing to hear that their vindication is coming. Don't forget to subscribe and follow this page. We tell stories of truth, justice, and the Nigerian reality every week. Join the community. I pray for everyone reading this. May the blanket of shame never cover your face. May every form deception in your life be popped by the scissors of truth. And may your dry season turn into a harvest so big that you will need to build new barns. Go and succeed. Your testimony is next.